Well, hello there. How are you doing? Are you doing good? Because I'm tired. We'll get to that in a moment. I got to give the dog a treat. All right, let's do that. Here we go. It's important. It's mandatory. You understand. Here we go. Preach! The snoot. The snoot, though. The snoot is really good. It's really good. That's why we start our streams this way. It's because it's all downhill from here. Hello, everybody. My name is Endeavorance. It is Friday, January 30th. Incredible. Amazing. I didn't get it last time. I did get it this time. There's a year in there somewhere. I can't be bothered to keep track of that part. How's it going, everyone? How's it going? As I said, I'm pretty eepy. This might be an abbreviated stream. I know that I'm being loud right now, but it's purely medication causing this volume. I was up for like 4.5 hours in the middle of the night last night. It happens. It happens. It's just kind of like what I do. It's not a fun superpower, but the superpower that I have is waking up in the middle of the night for far too long. So yeah, might be a bit of a short stream. We'll see. Let's see. What's going on? What is going on? Slow motion says this feels like day 306, the 365th day of January. That's accurate. That's very, very, very accurate. It has been a hell of a January. It's been a lot. I was thinking about this last night. Remember way back in the era where we woke up to the news that our country had just arbitrarily invaded Venezuela and abducted their leader and brought him onto our soil to stand trial for drug charges. Remember that? That happened. We're still in Venezuela. The United States of America is like blockading and theoretically trying to control Venezuela still right now. I know that we're a little distracted. What with all our countrymen being gunned down in the street by Nazis. Been a little distracted on that front, but like goddamn, we're just doing it. We're still going forward. No one hit pause. No one took a little break. No one said, "Hey, maybe we stop and assess." We're just gonna keep on fucking going. All right. That was still January? That was January. That was like January 4th. In like a matter of weeks, we had invading Venezuela, murdering a U.S. citizen in her car, murdering a second U.S. citizen, murdering a third U.S. citizen, just lots of murder, invading Venezuela, attempting to take over Greenland, going to the World Economic Forum and fucking just saying the dumbest imaginable bullshit, essentially pushing Canada over to China, getting Canada's prime minister to go in front of the world stage and assert that the economic world order that we all once knew has officially fucking died, and that pretending that America is something special in order to have proximity to its economy is no longer a valid strategy. Like, the man went on the global stage and just said that. All of that has been 1 month so far of this year. Oh, and tariffs. The tariffs against the EU. Yeah, the like, oh, we're gonna go after the tariff. We're gonna go after the EU. We're gonna fuck up NATO. We're gonna take over Greenland no matter what they say. Fucking, we spent weeks with the president of our nation saying that he can't, that there will be no other option than for the US to take Greenland. He just like asserted that. Of course, it's Donald Trump, so he like backed the fuck down because he's an idiot and doesn't know what he's doing, and doesn't like, he doesn't think about the consequences of anything beyond the immediate, just like, what can I say that will make people like me right now? It's fucking crazy. Arrested Don Lemon. Yeah, that's on my it's on my list of topics, which I will continue to try to show you in vain, because the light just makes it look like a blank sheet of paper. But I promise you there's topics on it. The first topic here, it says Don Lemon. So Donald Lemon, not to be confused with his sister, Danielle Limes, got arrested. Now here's what happened. All right, we're gonna need a diagram. We're gonna need a diagram. Here we go. What happened to Don Lemon by Endeavorance? All right, I'm gonna make that larger. Zoom in a little bit. All right, what happened to Don Lemon? A presentation by Endeavorance. Thank you for coming to class. All right, so there was, okay, one, there was a church, right? Okay, so there was a church. And at this church, there was, so Don, no, I need a thinner brush. Don went here, right? So some people would use the text tool to write. I'm not doing that. So there was a church, and Don Lemon went to that church with a bunch of protesters, right? Where can I get like an image of nope? Can I get elements? Can I get like isn't there like, okay, browse libraries. Oh wait, hell yeah. Okay, add. Oh, perfect. Okay, so this is a protester, right? Here we've got a protester, right? Let me label that. A protester. Okay. So that's a protester, not to be confused with Don Lemon. This is Don Lemon, all right? You can tell by the hat. They went to the church. All right. So there was some protesters, and Don Lemon was with the protesters. And those protesters went to a church because they thought that the pastor of the church was an ice boy, right? So so the church led by Ice Boy, is they don't want that, because here's the thing with that ICE is doing. This is what ICE is doing. If you can imagine, here's a lady, right? This is a lady, right? And then if this is an ICE officer, let's make them more anatomically correct. Just the littlest, tiniest little ding dong. And then also they gotta wear their masks because they're big fucking pussies. And their whole thing is that they're happy taking money to harass minorities, but they're not going to show their faces because they know that they're fucking Nazis. So got a mask. Okay. So here's the thing that the ICE officer is doing. The ICE officer I need another library. I need gun. Perfect. One of these is going to have to be a gun. This is a gun. That's not a gun. That's a graph. I'm drawing a gun. Here we go. What does a gun look like? A gun looks kind of like, sort of like, pew pew. So the ICE officer shoots bullets at the lady. And so she dies because she's allergic to the bullets. She has a condition. So backing up a little bit, because of ICE pastor at church, protesters go to church, interrupt church sermon. Don Lemon is with the protesters when they go to church. The right loses their fucking shit because interrupting church services is apparently a crime worse than murder, which ICE is doing a lot of. And Don Lemon, having been among the protesters that went to a church to do a demonstration against the members of the church who are supporting the current occupation of their city, Don Lemon's proximity to those protesters, and Don Lemon's general being a black man and a black man who used to work for CNN, it made for the perfect storm. So the administration is also unhappy about this, right? So like a bunch of right-wing people are like, the black reporter man from CNN interrupted the church services for the people who are aligned with ICE. So it's just like it's like a perfect little like encapsulation of all the things that they want to hate, you know? So they are all like, we got to go after Don Lemon. Don Lemon, of all of the people that we need to be going after on this fucking planet, they're like, we got to go after Don Lemon. So they are going after Don Lemon. They first they're like, okay, we're gonna hit him with some charges. Guess what? That was this is that ping. That's the charges just ricocheting off of him because they tried to charge him with like something. I don't even fucking remember. And a local magistrate was like, no, this is nothing. Like, hey, DOJ, this is nothing. So they tried to charge him with something. It got deflected. They tried to get him again with something else. So they tried to appeal the rejection of the charges, and it didn't work because the charges were nothing. The guy was there documenting a thing that was happening because he's a journalist. And then this morning they arrested him anyway. So Don Lemon arrested. He was arrested last night, I think, while he was like covering the Grammys. Don Lemon and 3 other people were arrested on Friday in connection with an anti-immigration enforcement protest that disrupted a service at a Minnesota church and increased tensions between residents and federal officers. Lemon was arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles, where he had been covering the Grammy Awards. It was unclear what charge or charges Lemon and the others are facing. Lemon, who was fired from CNN in 2023, said he had no affiliation with the organization that went into the church and that he was just there journaling the protesting. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on social media Friday morning confirming the arrest of Don Lemon and the others who were present during the protest at the church, where a local official with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement serves as a pastor. At my direction, early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon. Like, it's literally Pam Bondi. Here's the thing. They don't like Pam Bondi very much. The MAGA crowd is not happy with Pam Bondi. And they're not happy with Pam Bondi not because she's fucking useless and hasn't been releasing the Epstein file. Some of them are unhappy about the Epstein file situation. They're unhappy with Pam Bondi because she hasn't landed any political like judicial attacks, right? She hasn't won any lawfare against their enemies. So they spent like the entirety of nope, that's the carpet. Oh wait, I gotta fix the dog cam. Hold on. Okay. They spent the entirety of Biden's presidency bitching and moaning about how Biden is like using the Department of Justice to go after his enemies, to go after Republicans, right? It might have had something to do with the whole insurrection thing that they did, and the whole doing a lot of crimes thing, right? So, Pam Bondi, her job in the eyes of MAGA essentially is to be an attack dog and go after Trump's enemies with the Department of Justice. And we've seen this over and over again. If you just search like DOJ mortgage fraud, they're like mortgage fraud is the thing that they're like using to go after everyone. We've got, let's see. Senator Schiff, document shows DOJ examining the handling of mortgage fraud investigation into Senator Schiff. I think they did it with Eric Swalwell. Yep. Mortgage fraud for Eric Swalwell. We got mortgage fraud for, I think Letitia James also. Did they hit her with it? Yeah, indicted. I'm not a robot. I'm still not a robot. Bank fraud. Yeah, they're just like essentially trying to go after everyone for various bullshit crimes, right? Like they're making up. I mean, let me actually back up. They probably are criminals, right? Like these politicians probably have crimes that they should be held accountable for, right? Obviously. Trump trying to go after politicians for crimes is fucking rich. But like they've been going after these people and Pam Bondi has not landed a case. None of it has worked because they're fucking incompetent. And also because they're not going after them in good faith. They're trying to make cases to go after them because instead of doing actual anti-corruption work, they'd rather just try to throw random gotchas at people. So the right doesn't like Pam Bondi very much right now because she's failing at her job of making Democrats pay. And because of that, that's why we're seeing them arrest Don Lemon, right? Like that's why we're watching, Pam Bondi puts out a statement saying, at my direction, we've arrested Don Lemon. Because if you go and look in any of the right-wing circles over the past several weeks, Don Lemon is one of their like themes that they have just been hammering on for weeks now. It's another one of those things that like the right has been just salivating over, just all that they want, it's all consuming to them, right? It has been completely overtaking right-wing circles. This like we need to go after Don Lemon thing today. And then no one outside of their circle is even paying attention to that because who in the entire fucking planet, expand it to include the solar system, because I don't think that Glor bomb is going to care very much either. Who in their right mind gives a shit about, one, Don Lemon, two, Don Lemon being at a protest that took place at a church in Minneapolis where there's actively like an occupation by the federal government? No one cares. That's not what we're thinking about. So like, this is literally just a self-contained red meat dispensing machine is what this like whole administration is. It's just like, we need to constantly put on a show. We need to constantly nominally give our followers reminders that we're like sort of angling towards making good on the promises that we made for them, but they can never make good on those promises because they can never actually achieve those things, especially not with the routes that this administration is taking. So like they're constantly walking this line of trying to not be held accountable by their base by giving their base dumb bullshit like, we arrested Don Lemon. Like this isn't going to go anywhere. Don Lemon is not going to be charged with fucking anything that matters. Like there's freedom of speech for a reason, but they're trying to make it into a they're trying to make it like a racism thing. Like they're trying to hit him with like KKK law charges because it was going after, or because it was a protest at a Christian church. And so they're like, it's a hate crime. So that's the Don Lemon thing. It's so fucking dumb. It's another one of these things that's just, they get so whipped up in their own echo chambers that they spend so much time protecting their echo chambers and then bitching and moaning about everybody else's echo chambers. But like, you know, you go to any given conservative space online and they do everything they can to ensure that nothing but the most far right conservative ideas actually can even be posted about. And so then you end up in a place where you've got stuff like, oh, turns out the right wants to get rid of the Department of Education in its entirety. And like the average American is like, what? Like the average American is sitting here being like, wait, they want to dismantle what? Like, of all of the institutions, that one? I'm not, you know, the Department of Education isn't perfect, but like IRS, FBI, CIA, DHS, ATF, BLM, none of those are your priority? Department of Education, got it. Cool, that's the problem. Yeah, they get themselves spun up into a frenzy over things that are so far removed from what the average person is even thinking about. And then they try to do shit based on that, and then they're confused when people push back on it. It's why, you know, oh, why don't they just comply? Like, motherfucker, people didn't vote for this. And you're continuously lying to yourself if you think that people did. The majority of Americans did not vote for this, especially in that area. I have no idea how anyone can still talk with those people with a genuine heart, because I cannot. I mean, I don't. I monitor what the vibes are in conservative spaces, but I don't engage because I don't see my role as trying to reach into MAGA and pull people out. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen for a multitude of reasons. My stance for a long time now has been that these people need to be left the fuck behind until they figure out that they are their own problem, right? That's like, I have personally gone through that experience. I used to be a piece of shit when I was much younger, like when I was in my early 20s, like late teens, early 20s. I harbored a lot of pretty typical sheltered middle class white boy suburban America views, and you know, I very thankfully traveled a bit, met some people, learned more, and got my mindset changed. But it did take me having a few moments of realizing that, like, I'm the problem. Like, oh, I'm the common denominator with everyone being miserable around me, and like with me being miserable. And it's because, like, I'm saying dumb shit and I am holding these opinions and haven't actually thought about anything that I'm saying. I'm just parroting the things that I thought people that I thought were smart were saying. And so then that set me on the journey of like actually trying to figure out what I care about and what my values are, and then working towards having an actual political belief structure that's based on real values that I can actually make sense of. And so now when I'm, you know, talking about whatever I'm talking about, it's coming from a place of genuineness. It's coming from a place of like, I feel this way. I actually do. I came to this conclusion. It's not something that someone else prescribed to me. And often it's not even, I can't even convey it because it's not a matter of having a salient policy to deliver, because I'm not a politician and I am not enacting policy, but I know what I want in the world, and I know what kind of interpersonal relationships I think would be healthier for a society. And that's what I'm pushing towards. And like, that's it, right? So I have no book that I can give people. I have no rubric for what kind of world and politics that I want to force on people, because that's just not how I see it. But I just, there's a lot of people who are engaging in a lot of modern political and current events discussions that are just I don't even know why they're here. Like, what do you like? What's the point of this? Like, what's the point of just being an ass? You know? Wish you'd run. I don't. I'm just not that person. There are days where I wish that I was that person. I am very ill-equipped or ill-fitted for public office. It is not a thing I think I would excel in. I would probably be good at generating hype and messaging, but I don't think that my energy is best spent trying to be in a position or in an elected position. If I have a chance to meet a candidate that I actually fucking believed in and could like talk to them and understand what they're going for, that'd be neat. But also, I would rather just continue to encourage people to engage in direct action. Wait, where's the there? Okay. I just don't want to hear what's woke when I'm trying to play Magic the Gathering, so I challenge their ideas and they usually don't get back up and then don't come back. I was following this until I wasn't following it. Are you just saying that people are just saying everything is woke? And I would agree generally with that. Yeah. My partner and I were super conservative at some point in our lives, and we grew up to see further beyond our narrow point of view. It took a while to figure ourselves out. It really broke me when I was younger. Yes. Yeah, it's genuinely difficult to make that pivot. And it's really painful when you realize, like, oh, I've not been living in a way that's actually good and healthy for like anyone, myself included. And that's a hard thing to come to terms with. I spent a long time. I spent like over a decade now, essentially trying to live my life in such a way that I ask myself, you know, is this thing that I do, is this rule and view of myself congruent with what I want in my life, and is it helping me? A good example would be also, hello Raiders, Jester Olive raiding. Hello everybody who came in from the raid. Hello. Here's a very, very simple and like vapid example of this. I was a huge Android fanboy for a long time. I so much so that like I went to go work at Google and there's like a picture of me hugging one of the giant Android statues, and like I was so into Android and like super anti iOS, super anti Apple. I was that guy that like whenever Apple announced a new feature, I'd be like, oh well, Android's had that forever, haha, you dumb losers. And like I eventually realized that no one wants to be around that guy. Like, no one wants to be around a contrarian or just someone who's constantly trying to tell someone else that, like, they are wrong for having something. It's the same as the console wars, right? Like, oh, you have an Xbox? You idiot. I have a PlayStation. Like, no, it's a consumer electronic. Calm the fuck down. I now have Apple everything. And... and that's not really for any particular like specific reason that's gonna be worth it for everybody to hear, but I spent a significant amount of time taking time to realize like this part of me, this perception of myself that like I have this like sunk cost of liking Android and disliking Apple products, and so I will never use those products and will always be this way. And eventually I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Why do I hold this opinion? I don't even like Google. Like I eventually got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I don't like Google products anymore. I I don't know. I don't care anymore. And like I don't harbor these opinions, and I don't care to to push these opinions on other people and continue to make people be like, well, I don't want to be around that guy because he's just gonna bitch and moan about Android and iOS. So now I've just like learned to, one, not be that guy, like not be a contrarian, not be the guy that chimes in to tell other people that they are making dumb decisions or whatever. But like it's an example of identifying something in your life that is a way that it is, and being like, is this helping me? Is this useful? Is it useful for me to be to throw my like identity into a mobile operating system camp? Is that helping me or anyone around me? No, it's not. And now I have the devices that are useful for what I need them to do in this exact moment. And cool. That's it. Isn't Apple safer, or is that a myth? I've always had iPhones because that's what I'm used to. You should use whatever the fuck you want to use, right? In theory, iPhones are better positioned to better sandbox stuff, and therefore, in general, have a better baseline privacy story than Android phones do. But it's also very, very, like, depending on your specific scenario, and also corporate or not, and also a million other things. I would not recommend anyone change for the sake of changing, right? Like I don't think that like, oh, you need to get on this particular operating system is a really helpful argument for pretty much anything. Perspective and priorities, am I right? Yeah, like I just kind of have learned eventually to just chill. At the end of the day, like I cannot be out here. I cannot be out here giving a shit at maximum capacity to everything in the world. I need to pick and choose what I give a shit about. And the bar for giving a shit is very much going up. I have to get a Pixel. I heard murmurs of a graphene port for the Snapdragon chip, which I hope they do. I have a Note 10 Plus just for that. I do not know what the fuck the chips are in Android phones are anymore. I'm assuming they're all just still Snapdragon whatever. But yeah, graphene is a like a privacy-focused Android variant. Graphene OS. I'm pretty sure it's what, de-googled and stuff. Yeah. Graphene OS, the private and secure mobile operating system with Android app compatibility, developed as a non-profit open source project. Neat. Yeah, I mean, basically the idea is like, what if Android but not Google? And that would be nice. We need so much less American major tech companies in the world. Oh, hey, I'm honestly disillusioned with most of the consumer tech world. Apple's bad for various reasons. Android's bad. Windows is awful. macOS is weird. It's all bad. Use what you want. So agreed, 100%. Use what you want. Use what makes sense for you. I fucking hate, oh God, there's nothing I hate more than like, I will mention an operating system that I'm using. Like I will mention that I am installing updates on my like Windows gaming PC so that I can like get it running again and play some games on Steam or something. And I'll get a bunch of people being like, insert, you know, this Linux distribution here. Or they're like, you shouldn't, or like you should use Linux instead, or don't use that. And it's like, bro, I want to like reach through the internet. I want to I want to just like take you by the fucking neck. And I want to show you the literal home lab that is sitting next to this computer. I have multiple servers running in a server rack next to my desk that are running various operating systems. And I'm streaming from a MacBook next to a Windows box. Like, it's not a matter of I have loyalty to an operating system. It's not a matter of I'm not using a certain operating system that would fix all my problems. It's a matter of I know what I'm doing, and because I know what I'm doing, I'm aware that this shit fucking sucks. And like, it just is what it is. So like, I cannot stand the people who try to like assert that like their software or their hardware solution is the thing that will fix my problems. Because I'm like, hi, I have this specific problem that I'm trying to solve as someone who knows how to solve these kinds of problems. And I'm trying to find the most convenient and like, you know, the solution that will be the most beneficial for me. And somebody will be like, just install a fuck ass OS, but you got to get the version that came out 2 years ago because the newest version has a bug with this graphics driver. And I'm like, I don't want to install fuck ass OS. Anyway, consumer tech is like so busted right now, and I'm looking at, you know, Tim Apple, Mark Zuckerberg, got more funny names. You look at all these fucking tech oligarchs and all the like leading tech, like American tech companies. They're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. Why haven't you tried Temple OS? Why do you think I haven't tried Temple OS? We're not fucking doing anything. We're just like doing the AI investment bullshit back and forth forever. And like we just saw yesterday, Windows had a huge Microsoft had a huge stock crash because their AI is not, or their AI earnings are not looking good, and their AI spending is way too high. Microsoft stock crash. Yeah. Oh, hey, more Jeffrey Epstein files being released, apparently. Microsoft lost $357 billion in market cap as stock plunged the most since 2020. The selling frenzy around Microsoft cut $357 billion off the company's market cap, leaving it at, only $3.22 trillion. Damn, they're ruined. Analyst Ben Rietzes says that Microsoft needs to build data center capacity more quickly. When it comes to allocating computing power, Microsoft is prioritizing internal applications, though blah, 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 who cares? They slid 10% following an earnings report that disappointed investors. Long story short, Microsoft is not giving investors a solid feeling that they're actually doing something useful that will produce some sort of value with AI. Now, we've also got, actually, let me pull this up. You know, compare that with OpenAI racing for IPO. So OpenAI is trying to get an IPO before Anthropic. OpenAI plans fourth quarter IPO in race to beat Anthropic to market. So, like, these AI companies are now at a point where it's like, it's not just investing a ton of money into vaporware. It's now race to be the first one to IPO. I assume because whoever IPOs first, whichever one of these AI companies IPOs first, is going to get a fuckload of money and leave everyone else with the bag. I fully expect that to be the case. It's going to IPO. They're going to make a shitload of money. Everybody who works there and all the billionaires who are currently invested in it are going to make so much money. And then it's going to crash. Because this is nothing. Like, it's still nothing. People don't like AI stuff. It's not doing anything useful. It's not actually solving a whole lot of problems. It's, at best, making some things slightly more doable with a computer. And that's kind of it. So I'm I am hopeful that we'll see a new shift towards just like completely different kind of tech. I really want to see more like personal, helpful shit that isn't an AI, that isn't a personal assistant. It's just like interesting tech that actually makes life a little bit more useful or just fun and cool. Best Hobbit says, what is IPO? IPO is initial public offering. It is going public. So it's when a company that is privately owned gets listed on the stock market, and people can now buy and sell stock in that company. When you IPO, you essentially raise a fuckload of money and you liquidate stock on the market. And so a lot of times tech companies will hire employees and incentivize them with stock options, either like literal stock or a thing that's really popular is called RSUs, which are restricted stock units, and they are essentially a promise that you will get stock when the company IPOs. And so for a lot of tech companies, there are a ton of employees who have a bunch of essentially monopoly money, RSUs, because RSUs are not stock until the company is public. So it's an IOU for stock. So a lot of people will have RSUs, and these companies will want to go public so that those RSUs can turn into money, so that the people that they hired will actually get the money that they've been told that they will get eventually. And to not do that, to not make good on that money, you hired a bunch of people to not ever give them that payout is going to be a bad look for you in the business world. So, yeah, IPOs are basically, if you are, especially in the tech world, an IPO is the finish line, right? An IPO is what they're going for. It is, everything that happens after an IPO with a tech company is details. Everything that happens before an IPO with a tech company is the story of that tech company. And then they go public and everybody gets their money. And then people who were there that made the company good all leave. And then it's a publicly traded company. And the only thing they're doing anymore is trying to maximize return on investment, which is why all these platforms then get shitty, which is how we get the term in shitification. Hello, welcome to my Endeavorance has a whole lot of opinions on the tech industry because that's the industry he used to work in stream. We do need to focus on accessibility improvements inside of common Linux distros and such. Absolutely. I like Linux a lot. My primary, like the machine that I would consider my main computer is running Linux. It's a good operating system. Like there's a lot of things you can do with it. It's very flexible, all the different distributions, let you like dial in the specific variant that you want. I just bit my tongue. Ow. That's gonna hurt later. Fun. But the issue that Linux has, I think more than being relatively user unfriendly compared to other options in general, is that people who use Linux pretend that that's not the case. Like people who use Linux, not 100% of people, but there's a lot of the loudest people who use Linux, who are the loudest about Linux, are fucking lying to themselves about the state of Linux, right? It is an extremely capable and usable operating system if you know a little bit about how to use computers. And guess what? Most people don't know how to use computers. So it's like as somebody who my career in tech was primarily building user-centric applications and building user interfaces and making sure that people were able to use the products that we were building. And when you do that, it's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking like, these users are so dumb, why can't they just figure it out? Like oh, the issue is the user. Like we've made it so clear it's a them issue. Like, no, you've failed at your job if the users can't use your software. Now, you probably, if you are building software and you don't care whether or not people can use it universally, then okay, sure. But if you're building software that you want to have people adopt, Accessibility is table stakes, and accessibility goes beyond just like, does this work with a screen reader? It goes to like, can someone sight read your app? Like, can someone who doesn't know computer fundamentals open up your app and use it? And if not, is there a way that you can help them get to that point? And if not, why are you demanding that they use your app? Or why are you calling them stupid for not doing it? There's an issue in the Linux world of everybody just defaulting to this concept of RTFM. This is more of a developer thing in general, but RTFM stands for read the fucking manual. And it is a common response to people asking questions that, you know, like Linux or open source software users find to be too basic. And they say, you know, if you read the fucking manual, that question will be answered. Here's the problem. Not everybody learns things by reading a manual. Like, not everybody like internalizes stuff by just like reading a fucking textbook. Now, I'm a huge dweeb, and I will read technical documentation before bed as like a bedtime story. Because I'm weird. All right? But that doesn't work for everybody, and I'm aware of that. You got to have like ways for people to be able to actually engage with things and experience things and learn things. Like, I like to read technical documentation for funsies, but the way that I actually internalize stuff is going and trying things and like building stuff. That's how I actually learn. So the issue that I have generally when I see people who are like, you know, advocating for Linux and stuff is like, I also want to advocate for people to use more free and open source software and to have liberated computing systems and to be out from under the thumb of big tech. Hell, I for those who aren't aware, you can go to live.endeavorance.tv, and I'm self-hosting a custom non-big tech third-party version of this stream that you can still chat and participate in everything. I'm specifically doing all of this so that people can like learn and try and have alternatives. And also, it takes effort to help people get there. And telling people that they just need to learn how to use a computer better is not a solution. Linux doesn't even qualify for the basics for accessibility. Screen readers don't work, Magnify doesn't work, on-screen keyboards are hit and miss, Linux needs accessibility improvements. That too, like it's again another case of like, I'm sure that there exists accessibility toolings and a combination of like a screen reader and accessibility tools and a Linux distribution that works well with them, and that is probably useful for certain people who need that setup. And also, the second that an accessibility tool breaks in any way, it is no longer an accessibility tool. It's an impediment. If your system is not able to just work out of the fucking box, it needs to just work. Because like the second that it's not working, the person can't use the computer anymore. Like I saw a mutual of mine just recently posted a TikTok where they were like, hey, people who are like, you know, pushing Linux as like everybody should just use it as the default. If it's so perfect and great, why is my, like, they're an IT person, and they're like, why is my client's computer crashed with no desktop? Like, I can fix this. I'm an IT professional, but my client is just trying to use their computer and it doesn't have a desktop anymore. And they didn't do anything to merit that. It just happened to them. Like that's not a thing that would happen on Mac at all. It just wouldn't. But as I said, like, none of this is me saying that Linux is bad. It's just that the issue is people being obtuse about like believing that there can exist a world where we all are like holding hands, singing Kumbaya around the Linux campfire, but also I'm not going to help anyone learn how to use it. And I'm just going to tell people to read the fucking manual when they ask a question. Like, no, can't do that. There's a whole blog someone made about how bad accessibility is on Linux. Interesting. But the beginner distros are fairly similar. Mint is stable and intuitive. Yeah. So here's the flip side is if you do have some basic knowledge on how to use a computer, like if you could see a computer's terminal and not freak out, there's a lot of Linux distributions that are genuinely nice and free and fast. You got an old laptop that like is running Windows and barely chugging along. You could probably throw Linux on there and it'll run like fucking a dream. So like it's a great way to preserve older devices and also have flexibility on newer devices. But you do have to have a little bit of an understanding of what you're doing. Folks are working on that part, packaging for the end user. I really hope we get all of there at some point. Like, I really want, like I said, I want a world in which people are not beholden to so much US big tech. Like, we've just fucking destroyed the notion of the internet at this point. It's like if you're not using one of the 5 apps, then you're not on the internet for most people. Like, that's just how they see it. I'm so tired of seeing people like on a given privately held platform or, you know, like a meta property or something, talking as though like everything will be great once this is the place that everyone goes to. Like Threads. I'll like open up Threads every once in a while and see people being like, they need to like shut down Twitter and everyone just needs to come here and it can be the true public square. And it's like, Threads? And also why? Like, why are we doing this with another fucking meta app? Can we not? The safety bear is here now. Yeah, the OSHA compliant bear is here. That hard hat does add a bit of extra shield, so careful. I would not go back to forums in 2026. Do you mean forums? I assume you mean forums? I would absolutely go back to forums. Forums are like genuinely still very good. Like they're as far like consider the following. Forums are a relatively slow moving index of discussions threaded chronologically and organized by topic. That sounds pretty nice to me. That we don't have much of that anymore. We have Reddit, but like Reddit is just like a fucking mess and also a privately held platform and also just training AI on everyone's data. Like it's not it's kind of a forum, but it's like it's more of a social network than it is a forum. But like it used to be, you all remember back in the fucking day, and like there's still a little bit of this, but back in the day, you would search, you know, you're like, oh man, I don't know how to beat this video game. I need to go search for online discussions about this video game that I'm playing. And you find a forum thread. It used to be the case that like forums were so ubiquitous that even if you didn't have an account on a given forum, you could like search and it would show up in the search results, and there was sort of like a standardized view of forum threads that's like, you know, you're not a member of this forum, but you can still read the thread and get the information from it, and it's going to be like clean and nice, and it's just the discussion points. There's no ads, there's no bullshit, there's no pop-up that says you have to sign up before you can actually read this stuff, there's no pop-up to ask for your email for a newsletter, there's no like thing telling you to turn off your ad blocker. It was just like, oh hey, here's the thread of people having a discussion about what I'm talking about. Just got here. I love your sweater. Thank you. Thank you very much. It has a hood. And the hood has a fin. I'm very aerodynamic. Watch. So that's really powerful. And you can probably see why my enemies are scared of me. And why ain't no one gonna fuck with me. You see? You dig? fast as fuck, boy. You couldn't even see me. I was going so fast. I'm surprised that I haven't been kicked off of Twitch and YouTube by now for just being so fast. We were spoiled by the old web before the capitalists got to it. I am going to be putting a lot of work this year into trying to like claw some of that back. Now, there's a lot of nostalgia about how the old web works, or worked. The old web definitely had a lot of good shit going for it. The modern web has a lot of interesting ways to help democratize using the web. I truly believe there is a decent union between those two that also has a capable user experience such that people are not as afraid to venture outside of the main big platforms. And I'm really hoping that we can start to see some movement there. And I think we will. I think we're going to start seeing more movement away from US tech, especially in the EU and Africa. Because one, Africa, it has like an increasingly rapidly just what's the word I'm looking for? A rapidly growing number of tech hubs are in Africa, and like a rapidly growing number of tech startups and just like interesting science shit is going on in Africa. The EU is leading a lot of the world with tech policy. It's not perfect, but they are. And in doing so is making the US tech companies are cranky about that. So like, I'm hoping we'll see more European local tech popping up that people in Europe are moving over to, that then makes it so that the like US tech companies have to actually find a way to make their products more appealing and not just more omnipresent. Because the only reason that like people in the EU or people anywhere else outside of the US are using US tech, like Facebook and shit, is because it's there, right? It just is there. It just is. And there's not a particularly viable alternative. So, thankfully, there's a rising sentiment in the EU about like realizing, oh shit, we really cannot be relying on US tech anymore. Between the Twitter situation and the fact that all of US tech is just spying on everybody, you know, the thing that we claim that China's constantly doing, that's just what we do all the time. And then also US tech companies are so powerful now that they're like throwing their weight around and causing strain on sovereign nations. They're being like, hey, insert country here. If you try to put this law that will regulate us on the books, we will like push a notification to all of your residents who use our service and tell them to vote against you or some shit like that, right? Like that's not good. Where's the debate? I already won the debate. That's why there's no more ice outside. If you go outside and you see snow or ice on the ground, that's a lie. And that snow is a domestic terrorist. I will like the stream now? Fuck yes. Hell yeah. Thank you. And thank you to anyone who liked the stream on YouTube. Thank you. But actually though, liking the stream on YouTube does help quite a bit. That's like blackmail. It is blackmail. We love blackmail. The -7 outside with no ice is so much fun. It's really great. Yeah, there's no ice whatsoever. I took an axe to some of the ice outside this morning. Not the agents, although that'd be nice. It did not break. Tell that to the lake effect supposedly hitting Chicago today. I'm very glad that I'm not in Chicago right now. I can only imagine how fucking cold it is. What if we have 4 feet of frozen water on our doorstep? I don't believe in frozen water. I think it's a myth. I've seen like the documentary Planet Earth, and they showed me like penguins on some kind of like icy continent. I don't. Shit was CGI. I liked the YouTube on 3 accounts. I liked the stream on YouTube on 3 accounts and then went back to Twitch. So Sen Apollo, who is actually a duly elected senator named Apollo, is the best of us. Senator Apollo represents the nation. What nation? All of them. Just all of them. Finally, we all have representation. Thank you, Senator Apollo. BitLake talked about the Georgia Election Center. I have not. I can. So, again, with this administration, I mean, I talked about this a little bit, a little bit, with the Don Lemon thing earlier. This administration is just like doing everything they can to give red meat to their base. And so one of the things they did recently is raid the Georgia election office. FBI raid Georgia election office. Which is crazy because they're still trying to peddle this lie that Trump lost, or that Trump won the 2020 election. FBI Director Kash Patel said Thursday that a federal judge determined there was probable cause to carry out Wednesday's search of Fulton County Elections and Operations Hub in Georgia. Here we go.
The
FBI seizes 2020 ballots in Georgia. Apparently, I don't believe that they're actually releasing 3 million pages. Apparently unprecedented action, alarming local officials. Fulton County, Georgia officials said Wednesday the FBI seized original 2020 voting records while serving a search warrant at the county's election hub and operations center. The FBI earlier Wednesday said they were conducting a court-authorized activity at the facility. The development comes after President Donald Trump repeatedly said there was voter fraud in the 2020 election, specifically in Georgia, that contributed to his election loss. Georgia officials audited and certified the results following the election. So, essentially, they still believe that he won Georgia in 2020. This is the same Trump that called the Secretary of State of Georgia and was like, I want you to find enough votes that I win, right? Like there's a phone call with that on tape of him saying, just find enough votes that make me win. The FBI has now seized the literal original ballots from 2020 in that county in an attempt to try to have an investigation to prove that he won in Georgia or something, which also wouldn't change the outcome, but whatever. But that's pretty fucking unprecedented, taking the actual ballots. He finds out he won. Can we kick him out of office? Yeah, so he's like, you know, a reasonable person would be like, oh, so if he won, then he shouldn't be able to be in office now. But he's just going to be like, well, this means that I get another term because reasons. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. They're going to just make up a bunch of shit. But again, like, it's more about the spectacle. What a weird hill to die on. I mean, when you are a chronic narcissist, it's the only hill, right? Like, he can never admit fault. He can never admit that he's wrong. It's the same thing with this entire administration. And like we saw this just recently with the Greenland thing, where he was like, no, there's no outcome aside from me getting Greenland. And then, like, the only way that people were able to talk him down was to convince him that he's getting a deal that will ultimately essentially give him Greenland eventually. So he can be like, no, I never gave up on my plan. What if Trump does actually try to run in 2028? Then he gets fucking killed by someone while trying to subvert the Constitution. Like, if he tries to run in 2028, that is straight up just full ass against the Constitution. At that point, the options are the military does something about it, the FBI does something about it, the CIA does something about it, or the citizenry does something about it. But someone's going to do something about it. I can't say for sure who would do something about it. Ultimately, and like, I don't hold this super, like, this is not my, I don't fall back on this, but it is something that I do usually believe. The deep state, as it were, that the right loves to like complain about, it does exist to some degree. It's just people who work in government that don't want the country to collapse, right? They want to maintain the status quo and the current order and everything. Like, yeah, of course. Of course, the powers that be want to keep the powers as they are. I do believe that there is a line that they do not want him to cross. And he has not crossed it yet because he hasn't actually done anything consequential enough. Like, he hasn't actually done anything that undermines our ability to continue maintaining the status quo. Now, he's getting very close and very quickly pushing towards doing exactly that. I truly wonder how far they would let him go before they stop him. Now, I think probably like that's like a 55% scenario. I think the 45% scenario is they're all just fucking morons. And he could absolutely destroy everything that this country has and no one would stop him. But like, also, so, you know, like what the fuck is he gonna do? Do we really think that the entire population of the United States of America is ready to give up on any notion of a potential future for Donald Trump and a bunch of like dumb racists? I just don't think so. Just ICE is using warehouses for future detention centers. There's supposed to be one near me in Glendale. ICE is using a lot of facilities for a lot of things, and we don't know about a lot of them. They're using warehouses and like old military bases in fucking Guantanamo. I dropped my pen. Yeah, they're doing a lot of shit they shouldn't be doing. The deep state is not that deep. It's really not. It's the deep state and all the conspiracies and everything. It's true. They're just boring. Like, it's just boring. It's just people who want to have a job and like career politicians who are apolitical, or not career bureaucrats who are generally apolitical, who have to consider what comes after the current presidency in their work. And therefore, they don't allow a president, usually, to just do literally anything, which is then perceived as deep state, because it's like, oh, they're stopping us from accomplishing our goals. But the goal was like, I want to set everyone that I don't like on fire. And they're like, no, well, you can't really do that. Like, you can't really just set everyone on fire. And they're like, oh, how dare you stop me? This is un-American. Oh, we had a big stretch and I missed it? Oh, damn it. I know there's a general strike happening nationwide today, but I don't know how many were even aware and happening since it came so soon, IMO. It is... yeah. There's a nationwide strike today, and like, if you're participating in it, great. I'm so tired of people like saying like, hey, there's a strike happening on 3 days from now. And people are like, okay. And they're like, and the strike lasts for a day. And it's like, okay. Okay. Like what? Like that's nothing. Yay, you did something. Like the 1 day strike in Minneapolis made sense because it was localized to that one place. And it was for the purpose of saying, we are going to show that we as a city are capable of coming together and standing up against this. And so it was a show of solidarity within a single locality, and it actually did something. Like people actually across the city participated in that. When it's just like, we're gonna hope that enough people across the entire country see social media posts about the idea of doing a general strike on a certain day. Like, people don't know what that means. What does that mean? What do they do? What does it mean for it to be a day? What does it mean for them to, like, what can they do and can't they do? How are they sharing this with other people? Like, what? It's all... It is very similar to the people who try to do, like, black square activism. The people who, like, set their profile pictures to a black square to show solidarity or whatever, the classic liberal thing. And it's like, there is definitely there's something to be commended for people who want to do something. And I'm not going to sit here and say that if you are participating in a, like, 1 day general strike or whatever, that you are dumb. Like, that's not the situation. I am glad that people have the desire to participate and to do things like that. Usually it's just a sign that people don't know what else to do. And I think, unfortunately, it's a lot easier to hear, like, oh, we're doing a general strike on this day and it's happening in 3 days. It's like, great, that is a thing that I can do that is soon and feels like I'm a part of something. In reality, if we want actual lasting change, it needs to be like coordinated, sustained efforts that take like months or years of planning with established unions at the base of it. And that's not what these random, like, hey everyone, general strike on this day, tell your friends. Like, that's not the same thing. There's nothing wrong with doing a national strike as a way to protest and being in solidarity. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, it's not going to do anything. Like, it's not going to do anything. It's the same as, like, I remember seeing people being like, oh, we're going to do a social media blackout on Christmas. That'll show them. And it's like, okay, one, most people are already distracted on Christmas. Two, the analytics people aren't looking at the analytics on Christmas because they expect it to be one of the least trafficked days of the year because it's Christmas. And three, a 1 day general strike of social media, like not logging on to social media for 1 day, isn't a protest. It's just forgetting to open up your app. That's it. Like, it's the same like energy, right? Like, I want people to take the energy of feeling like they need to do something and participate in something, but understand that it's going to take more than finding an easy solution. Like, it's going to take sustained years-long effort. It takes, like, being like radicalized and then actually doing things with that radicalization, not just like being radicalized and then being terminally online so you're aware of all the dates that people say are going to be a general strike. Unfortunately, a lot of labor unions, mine included, have a no strike clause in their contracts, and it's so frustrating. Yes, so two things on this. One, that doesn't mean shit. You can still strike. But two, I mean, like, obviously it means something, but two, the idea, I'm saying the idea of an illegal strike is very silly. Two, yeah, like labor unions, especially in the US, have been neutered, like completely undermined over years and years and years of focused effort by the owning class. And then we get stuff like this, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm in a union, but like we have a no strike clause. That is what I'm talking about that needs to get fixed. Like, we need people to unionize their workplace, create meaningful worker solidarity and worker negotiating power, which can then be deployed in the shape of a general strike. And if we have a network of strong unions, we can actually make that happen. We just need a handful of industries that are core to the economy to have enough people causing enough of a problem that it needs to be addressed. How is there a no strike clause in a labor union? I mean, like, there's also laws that say like strikes are illegal. Like, I think Canada illegal strike. Like, Canada has to like approve of strikes, I think. Let's see. This is the Canada Industrial Relations Board. What is a strike or a lockout? Okay, when can strikes or lockouts occur? Strikes and lockouts are legal once a collective agreement has expired and the union and employer have met the requirements in the Canada Labor Code. What are the requirements? So yeah, like here, okay, here's all the requirements to legally be on strike in Canada. The union or employer must tell the other party what they want. Okay. Must let the federal minister of labor know that the parties have tried to enter into an agreement. Okay. The minister of labor, if they do not assign a conciliator to the parties, 21 days must pass. If the minister of labor does assign a conciliator to the parties, 21 days must end after the mandate, normally 60 days long. Okay. So like if you don't do all these things, the strike is technically illegal, and the state can be like, hey, you can't strike. To which I would assume the workers say, make me. What are you gonna do about it? Wasn't there a railway strike and the government said go back to work? Yeah, fucking Biden did that. Biden railway strike. How did it end? Yeah. In late November, after some unions had rejected the agreement, Biden asked Congress to pass the agreement into law. On November 30th, the House of Representatives passed the existing tentative agreement, along with an amended version that would require railroad workers to require railroad employers to ensure 7 days of paid sick leave. 7 days of paid sick leave. That's what they were wanting. On December 1st, the Senate passed the tentative agreement with only 1 day of sick leave, and Biden signed the legislation into law on December 2nd. This is why people are not super happy with the Democrats. Because Joseph Gordon Biden, who I was told by liberals is actually the most progressive president we've ever had. Hey, progressives, you should like Biden because he's the most progressive candidate we've ever had. So progressive that when laborers were striking for 7 days of paid sick leave, he stepped in and had Congress pass a law giving them 1 day and forcing them to go back to work. And then he ran for another term after saying he wouldn't. So, yeah. I'm excited for Joe Biden to have a legacy of having absolutely fucked up his chance at fixing shit. Like, it doesn't matter. Like you can talk about Biden having like done decent economy stuff, having like, you know, made a lot of like really like responsible decisions that helped fix the economy after Trump or whatever, but where are we now? All of that is gone. All of it. Like, it's just gone. The money that would have gone towards renewable energy stuff, like the tax credits that were helping people get out of poverty, any notion of women's rights, gay rights, trans rights, not that those were doing great under Biden. Good Lord. What a fucking waste. I genuinely, I can't, I'm struggling. I'm right now trying to think of like something that came out of the Biden presidency that is still relevant today. That was like good. Like every positive talking point that I can recall from that presidency was happening during that presidency and is now essentially erased. The problem with strikes is that people can barely pay for bills and groceries as it is. Stopping work for any amount of time is very detrimental. So again, like this is why we need strong labor unions, because when you have a strong labor union, they have built-in systems for helping sustain strikes. If you have a healthy, meaningful labor union, this is seen pretty commonly abroad, but not in the US, you'll see these unions will have a like reserve, like a bank account essentially, to be able to pay their members to keep them able to buy food and supplies and pay rent and whatnot during strikes. Now that doesn't go forever and you're not going to get your full paycheck, but you're going to get something. There's going to be some infrastructure to help sustain those strikes, which is why we actually need that, which is like we need actual coalitions of workers. I don't blame people for being sick of Dems. People need to get out and vote for good candidates instead of voting for safe ones. Someone wrote an op-ed local to me saying that they are, well, I don't know where the second part of that statement is, but yeah, it's annoying because the US is stuck in a constant state of believing that like centrism is a good thing. Like the average US voter doesn't hold political opinions. They are aware of the vibes and have internalized this incorrect notion that like the correct answer to everything is found somewhere in the middle. And that's just not accurate at all. But like that's how we portray every problem in this country, is by giving both sides a fair shake. Even when the problem is like, hi, I think that we should all start bashing our heads into beehives. And then someone else is like, actually, bashing your head into a beehive is both bad for bees and bad for your head. And then it's going to be, oh, well, this is a heated debate and we need to really consider all sides of this argument. So we're going to now have, bee truthers on every show to always have a counterpoint, because we must always temper everything. The average US voter bitches about their taxes and don't think to look into who it is that are messing with the taxes, aka the jackasses they voted for blindly. Yes, the average US voter bitches about taxes, but then also bitches about how our quality of life is going down, but then also bitches about how they don't want to vote for a person who's going to raise taxes, but then also bitches about how whenever they vote for a Republican who says they're going to lower taxes, one, that doesn't happen, and two, everything gets markedly worse. This weird notion that like the fact that Republicans have successfully built this air about themselves that they're like financially responsible or fiscally responsible, when there's just no evidence of that whatsoever, but it has been effective enough. Like enough people actually believe that Republicans are synonymous with like fiscal responsibility, that they actually vote. Like there's a non-zero number of people who genuinely did vote for Donald Trump because they thought that the economy was better under him and that he would make it better again. But they don't have the critical thinking skills or the general wherewithal to realize that like it's a delayed effect. And the reason that everything went bad under Biden was because of all the bullshit that Trump set up. And like, if you're paying attention, you know these things. And it's just so frustrating when people are one, ignoring advice from people who are paying attention, and then two, acting surprised when it blows up in their face after they ignored the advice. Willful ignorance. Yeah. I hate that people's color and background is a quote political debate. That too. The fact that I even just like out and about can feel like, oh, or can overhear people having conversations about gender identities and trans people and like, why is this what we're talking about? Why does anyone give a shit? We could be like curing cancer. We really need to switch to a parliamentary system and require everyone to participate, make it a national holiday. I wish like the US government doesn't make any fucking sense. The Constitution is a flawed fucking document, and the setup of our systems are so undemocratic. It's actually hilarious. And like I saw someone recently, like a European somewhere, you know, all the Europeans who are trying to like hate on Americans for quote unquote not doing enough. They say something like, oh, you're always bragging about how amazing your democracy is. Now prove it. And it's like, no, what? The US's democracy is notoriously fucked. It's so bad. It's so imbalanced. It's so fucking imbalanced. The Senate does not represent the will of the people at all. It represents the will of the owning class in individual states, and that's it. It's like it like explicitly is mismatched to the will of the people. And when you mention that, people are like, well, that's why we have the House, because the House is supposed to be the will of the people. The Senate is supposed to be, fuck if I know. What is the Senate supposed to be? Like, they'll say, oh, it's to prevent the populous states from just like dog walking everyone else. It's to prevent the coastal states from having control over everything. That's where the people are. And it turns out when you have a country whose policies go directly against what the vast majority of your population wants for decades, and then starts to go lurching in the direction away from any meaningful progress towards any of that, people are going to be a little unhappy in your country. And hey, maybe something should change just a little bit. Like, I cannot stand when people argue in favor of the keeping the Senate because we have the House, as if like the Senate isn't capable of completely stopping the House from doing anything. Like we could have the perfect House of Representatives. We could have absolutely perfect representation in the House of Representatives, and it wouldn't matter because the Senate can block anything from the House and is not representative of the people. So like we are defaulted to being fucked. I am so tired of the senator from Kentucky having such an outsized impact on my life. I don't live in Kentucky, but my entire life, the country that I live in has been essentially dictated by Mitch motherfucking McConnell. Like the reason that Roe v. Wade is overturned because of Mitch McConnell. like a lot of what we have today, like the political landscape that we have today, is because of Mitch McConnell, who does not represent a fraction of some populations of existing other states. So. I heard people in my office joking about Epstein yesterday. Conservatives really don't care about anything political except when it makes their enemies look bad. That's true. Yeah, no, it's not. It's never been about consistency. It's never been about morals. It's never been about having a framework that actually makes sense. It's never been about not being hypocritical. It's why they don't care about being hypocritical. It's why they can go on national television and be like, well, that legal U.S. citizen should not have had a legally licensed firearm because that's bad. Signed Republicans. It's why they can do that, because they truly do not care. It is not about that, and it never will be. And as long as people try to gotcha them, like it's why I don't respond very well when people are like, did you see that insert Republican here did insert bad thing here, or insert thing that doesn't align with their stated morals here? Like, yeah, of course they did that. That is what they do. That is their game plan, is to do whatever is politically expedient and have no remorse when you're obviously caught in your lies, because it doesn't matter, because they feel untouchable. This isn't me trying to be a doomer. I'm not saying give up and it's all bad and dumb. I am saying don't give power to the words being said by these fucking assholes. Like, don't let them play that game with you, because they want you to be focused on the discrepancies between their stated morals and their actions, because that's a lot easier for them to walk around and talk around than if we actually just focused on their actions themselves. I'm gonna go. I know that was very sudden. I am outrageously sleepy. As I said at the outset of the stream, gonna be a shorter stream. I was up for like 4.5 hours in the middle of the night last night, so I'm gonna go try to catch some Z's and get a little bit of rest so I can get back to it. Hoping to have a normal Stuff Keeps Happening on Monday. It's been hard to be doing all that right now recently, but hopefully the world does not explode again right as I'm trying to put together the episode on Monday. So see you on Monday. Stuff Keeps Happening, and then on Wednesday and Friday for more streams every Wednesday and Friday at 11 a.m. US Eastern. As a reminder, if you want to help me be able to do this and more stuff, you can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Endeavorance, patreon.com/Endeavorance. There's a link. That's one of the best ways to support me. Other than that, letting people know about my content is always super, super helpful. That's all I got. Take care. Be well. I'll see y'all on Monday. Stay warm this weekend. There's the dog. Goodbye.